right, well, welcome everyone. Looks like most everybody is connected, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome to your April demonstration grants talking stick. We have lots of information to go through today, as well as an opportunity for you to share some of the things going on in your program. Remember, if you have questions as we're going along, you can head over to that chat box. It is located at the bottom of your screen. You'll see a little talk bubble and pop those in so that then as we get to those spots, we can address any of those questions. And we'll go ahead and get disclaimed. This presentation was produced under U.S. Department of Education contract number GS00F115CA with Synergy Enterprises, Inc. The views expressed herein do not necessarily represent the positions or policies of the U.S. Department of Education. No official endorsement by the U.S. Department of Education of any product, commodity, service, or enterprise mentioned herein is intended or should be inferred. All right, now that you're officially disclaimed for the day, we're going to talk about some reporting reminders and tips because we are right in the midst of APR season, as I know all of you are super aware. We're going to give some updates and reminders about the project directors meeting, which is coming up week after next, and then also give an opportunity for some updates, unlike the screen that says updates. And we'll wrap up with some reminders about some events coming up this month. So we are going to start out. We know that APR season can be a little stressful, so we wanted to bring a little levity to our reminders and our tips for reporting season. So we are actually going to engage all of you in what I'm affectionately referring to as our OIE APR Showdown. So you will have an opportunity to show off all of your superior reporting skills and really highlight what wonderful APR reporters all of you are. So my suggestion, and each of you do as you wish, is to open Kahoot.it on your phone if you have it, because I just think that's easier, is to open it in the browser on my phone, which with my background, you can't even see that I have a phone, instead of on my computer. But you can also just open it in a browser window on your computer, whatever's easier. And you're literally just going to type in Kahoot.it. And I'll put it in the chat box as well, so that if you want to copy and paste it, you can do so. I'm going to switch my share so that you can see our Kahoot screen, and I can see as all of you are joining. You can join with your name, your program name, or if you're feeling a little hesitant about your superior APR skills, you can even go incognito and make up a top secret name. We will take any and all of the above. When you get to Kahoot.it, it's going to ask you for a code. Your code is 785522. I'll also put that in the chat box, 785522. And when you put that in, you will magically show up here on my Kahoot screen. Oh, I like it. APR Slayer. That is very official. I like that someone actually, as their name, they are the code. We got lots of initials, some top secrets and newbies, somebody who's very happy about reporting. All right. If you are having any trouble getting onto Kahoot, feel free to let us know in the chat box, and one of the rest of the team can help you with that. If you've been on some of our distance learning sessions, you know that we've also talked about how you can use this with your team or with your students as just a way to have a good time and review some information. You can also set these up so people can play them asynchronously on their own time. Okay. I know we may still have a few more people joining. We're going to go ahead and start the Kahoot. Even if I hit the first question, you're still able to join. Okay, so people can join throughout. So don't worry that you're going to miss out. Again, it's Kahoot.it. And it's 785522 lets you in. So away we go on our APR Showdown. which yes, is very much from The Price is Right. Okay, so we're going to go through the way this is going to work. You're going to see here on the Zoom screen that I'm sharing the question. On your Kahoot screen, whether you're doing it on your phone or whether you've opened a browser window, you're going to see just the answer choices, and you're going to pick your answer on your screen. So on the Zoom screen, you see the question. On your Kahoot screen, you just see and select your answers. All right, here we go. The first one is nice and simple. There's no points. It's a poll. Where are you currently with your APR reporting? I started planning, started entering. I'm going to start. I've submitted. All right. Now that one wasn't for any points. It was just a poll, but it's also a way to practice. So you see on the Kahoot screen, those answer choices for you to buzz in your answer. And yes, that first one was very fast. They won't all go quite that fast, I promise, Natalie. All right, so of those who got their answers in, it looks like we've got about half who are going to start really soon. And we've got about 30% each for they've started working in their project planner, or they've started entering into G5. All right, the next one is for points. Get your fast fingers ready. True or false, the APR is due May 3rd, 2021. This one is a fast one because it's just true or false. Is that your due date? Is that not your due date? All right. Very nice. So 25 of you know that your APR is due May 3rd. That's good. The other 6, FYI, it's due May 3rd. So you want to make sure that your APR is submitted in G5 by at least May 3rd at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, which is not most of our time zones, but it is for your reporting. All right. So it looks like Tired as Heck is in the lead just by a scotch bit. So just edging out our top secret player and player C. Okay, so here we go. The next one is also for points. So get ready. Super simple, true or false. I've checked to make sure I can access G5 and the reporting package. Have you logged in to make sure that you're able to get into G5 and you're able to locate this reporting package? All right, looks like most of us have checked our G5 access. I'd suggest if you're in that 3, that's your activity for this afternoon. Log in, make sure that you can get into G5 and make sure you can find that reporting package, because if not, you want to reach out and let us know so we can help you. All right. Ooh, see, Tired as Heck is still in there, but some others are edging up. Okay, this one you're going to put things in order. Place the steps for submitting your cover sheet in order. So you're going to move these around. Which one goes first? Which one goes second, third, and fourth? Move those around. We've got a nice image of your cover sheet if you were not 100% sure. Okay. It looks like we may have struggled a little with this one. All right, so here's the process for the cover sheet. You're actually going to enter your cover sheet data into G5. So you go into G5 and tippy type away, put in all that cover sheet data. Then you're able to download that into a nice, pretty G5 cover sheet, exactly as it should look. You can take that and get it signed by your authorized representative. And then you'll upload that completed sheet back into G5. All right, and I see a couple people taking some notes. So I'm going to address a couple of questions here. What happened to May 6th? May 6th is still a day on the calendar and a great day, but it's not the day for the APR. That is going to be due on Monday, May 3rd.
And we should have received an email letting us know we can, correct? As far as letting you know that you can start entering your APR. I'm thinking that's what you're referring to, Steve. If not, correct me. But yes, everybody should have gotten a notification. That would have come out in March. But even if you didn't see that notification, know that your APR is open and available. You may just not have noticed that in your G5 system. All right, get your fast fingers ready. We have our next question. This one is a quiz, so you're gonna have 4 options. What is the APR reporting period? What's the reporting period that you're gonna use on your APR? All right, it looks like we do have the majority. Remember, your reporting period for this APR report is October 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2021. Okay, so you're going to be reporting data for October 1st to March 31st. Okay. Tired as heck and slayed by the APR. Really seem to be doing a great job here. I'm a little concerned that you might be slayed by the APR, but we can work on that next. All right, true or false? I can add additional project measures based on the new activities conducted during the pandemic. Can I add new project measures or no? Oh, we're torn. Everybody seems a little bit torn on this one. Okay, the false, which did win this one, is correct. You may not add additional project measures. So if you're an ACE grantee, you're just setting your project measures for the first time. So you can set those up however you need to for your first year, but you're going to run into the same thing that the NYCP group is in now. Once you set those project measures, just imagine that this APR is etching them into a stone tablet and they will never change again for your grant. So for ACE grantees, you're etching in those project measures now, and they're going to stick with you for your full 5 years of ACE programming. For our NYCP folks, you already etched your tablet years ago, so those are the ones you're stuck with. Whatever you've been reporting on is what you will continue reporting on. Where you're going to talk about those new activities that you conducted during the pandemic are in your executive summary. They're in your explanation of progress on your existing measures and in your section C. So you're not going to add any new project measures. You're just going to put that information in your narrative. All right. Let's see where we head now. Another true or false. If a project measure was not applicable this year, I can omit it from my APR report. I can get out my big pink eraser and I can just omit it from this year because it wasn't applicable. All right. So you got it from the last one. No. Remember, they're etched in the stone tablet. We can't erase the stone tablet. So you cannot omit any. If they weren't applicable this year, if you don't have data for one this year, remember, and we'll do some reminders on that, but remember, we'll be reporting a 0 if it's just no data, or a 999 if it's something we're going to have data for later, but we can't just skip any of them. All right. Next up, another true false. I can tweak the GEPRA wording to reflect my project. So can you adjust that GEPRA wording to better reflect your project? All right, absolutely not. The GEPRA wording is what the GEPRA wording is. Whether you're ACE or whether you're NYCP, you cannot change a single word in those GEPRA. You just literally copy and paste them as is into your reporting. Now I can say some of you have gotten creative with the GEPRA wording in the NYCP crew on previous reports. And while we love creativity in programming, we don't want to get creative on our reporting. So make sure all the GEPRA copy and paste, no changes. All right, next up. This is another quiz. You're going to have options. On GEPRA measures, what quantitative data should be reported? None, target and actual, ratio, target and actual, raw, or actual ratio? Which one? All right, so we're a little torn, little bit. So it looks like most of us were headed here, but we want to live in the green on this one. So remember, this is on GEPRA. So for only your GEPRA, the ones that you're copying and pasting, remember, we're only reporting the actual ratio. We don't have a target for that. We're just reporting literally what happened. So that actual ratio. All right. Now you get to think about the other. So for this one, project measures. So not your GEPRA. On project measures, what quantitative data should be reported? I even popped in a little clue there for you on the screen, magically revealing an answer. All right. Okay, most of us had this one. So for your project measures that are not GEPRA, that are specific to your project, we want the target and the actual ratio. You'll be doing both on those. Okay. Oh, tired as heck has been dethroned. Rusty has come to the lead. You're going to have faster fingers to climb back to the top. All right. I won't have my academic achievement data until August of 2021. What should I report for those objectives? So if I'm going to have my data in August, but I don't have it right now, what should I put? And I will fully admit this is a little bit of a trick question. So I'm just prepping you. All right. And most of us got it. And those who were in the green, you're right too. And we're going to talk at the end of our quiz about a little G5 quirk that we have noted, that sometimes it's letting you put in just the 999, but sometimes it's requiring that you have a numerator and denominator. So 999 over 999 is how we can make sure that G5 will take it. So we're still keeping that same number, but that's a quirk that we noted with the first group that did their reporting in March. And yes, if you are just coming in, you'll go to kahoot.it. Thank you, Ryan, for popping that in the chat box. And you'll put in our pin down here. So you'll pop in that 785522. All right, let's jump into our next question. Oh, Tires Heck is falling down the leaderboard. All right, so this is a multi-select, which means you can select multiple answers. What's a great way to ensure that I'm covering the necessary information in section B? And you can select multiple answers. How can I make sure that I've got all the info I need in section B? All right, so we don't want to just scan a copy of our budget into the report. That's a lot. But we do want to think about using the optional budget reporting form. That will make sure that you're including that information that your program officer is looking for. You might want to go back and review the recording of the APR webinar where we talk through what to include in your narrative. And you definitely want to have your fiscal office help you and get information, maybe review things, but you don't necessarily want to just hand off your section B to your fiscal office and hope for the best. So involve them, not hand off to them, but definitely some ways to make sure that our section B has all that info that your program officers are looking for. Okay. The San Juan School District admin assistant is really coming to the lead. I need additional space to provide a longer explanation of progress, insert charts, or add pictures. How can I do that? If I need more room to write, or I want to put in a really cool chart that explains one of my objectives, where would I be able to do that? Lots of options. Okay, so we want to be gold on this one. We want to put that information in section C. So section C is what I like to refer to as my additional info section. Basically, anything that doesn't fit in other places will fit in section C. So we don't want to put it in B because that's all about budget. Your executive summary is limited to 2 pages, so you probably won't be able to fit it there. And if you're sending a bunch of separate emails to your program officer, it's really hard for them to then connect it to the right APR. So to make sure that it's connected with the right thing and everybody's seeing your great information, pop it in that section C. All right. Next up, if I have questions or need help with my APR, where can I go for assistance? Where can you go? Who can help you? All right. All of those are great places to go for help. So if you have questions or need help with your APR, you can ask your program officer. Donna and Bianca are happy to answer your questions. You can also reach out to us at the OIETA team. We're happy to answer questions. We've been meeting with folks on Zoom and walking through different pieces and parts and answering emails. So feel free to reach out with those questions. And if it's a question because G5 is being a little finicky, which is not outside the bounds of possibility, then you can reach out to that G5 help desk and they can always help with anything that's a G5 dilemma. All right, we're almost at the end. So this is kind of the last moments to try to climb back to the top of the board. True or false? I will have my complete, accurate, and detailed APR submitted in G5 by May 3rd, 2021 at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Always the key. I don't know who the one false is, but that's no, not the answer. Yes, we will all have our complete, accurate, and detailed APRs into G5 by May 3rd at 4:30 Eastern. If you're the one in red, reach out. Let us help you with whatever might be the dilemma. We want to make sure that everybody's able to be successful and get their report in. So let's see who the big winner of our OIE APR showdown is. It looks like San Juan's admin assistant has topped our board today. Congratulations. Followed very closely in second place by NH. And then in third place by Rusty. So thank you everybody for playing. I hope that was at least a fairly fun way to review all of that APR information. We'll have a few more reminders and things, but just to add a little scotch of levity to reporting season. All right, let me switch back over here. I want to make sure. There we go. I think we had just a couple of questions. So for our NYCP folks, are you only reporting on October 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2021? If you didn't see Bianca's response, yes, technically that is the only required year in your reporting, but it is encouraged to include previous data, so last year's data, to reflect project progress. Particularly many grantees reported 999s because they did not necessarily have their data when the APR was due last spring. So for those NYCP folks, it's recommended to include that information. But yes, the required portion is that at minimum you include the current year data of October 1st to March 31st. All right, I think that's all the questions here in the chat box. So just a couple, and this way it's also in the slide deck for you. Yes, That APR is due Monday, May 3rd at 4:30 Eastern. It should be submitted online through the G5. Remember, only the project director of record has access to that. With that reporting period, the cover sheet must be signed by your authorized representative. If you're not sure who that person is, again, reach out and we can verify for you. Your cover sheet budget section should match G5. Your section B budget section should reflect all your expenditures, even those not drawn down yet. Okay, so this is one of the things that we had talked about in the APR webinar, but just kind of reiterating because it can be a little confusing. When you're completing the budget section of your cover sheet, that amount that you put into number 8 for your budget should match G5 as of March 31st. When you do your section B budget section and you're doing that optional budget form and your narrative, that should reflect all your expenditures, even those that weren't drawn down by March 31st. All right, a couple other tips. So we had some questions about size limits. So a lot of these tips are from questions that have come in. So wondering about size limits, when you are uploading into G5, it can handle a maximum file size of 10 megabytes. So for things like your executive summary and your section B, that's never really an issue because your executive summary is pretty short, your section B pretty short. But when you get to section C, talking about all that additional information, when you're talking about maybe inserting charts and pictures and things, those files can get bigger. So just remember that G5 can handle up to a 10 megabyte upload. And then remember also that it will do a better job of uploading your document. You'll have less issues if you upload that as one PDF versus multiple documents. So that would be one for executive summary, one for section B, and one for section C. The other size limit is in that explanation of progress. We had some questions about, well, how much can I write in there? It can hold 4,000 characters. So anything over 4,000 characters, you may have to continue in your section C. So that's your reminders there. Also, unavailable or non-existent data. So if you have data that's not currently available right now, but you're going to have it for this grant year, like we did in the example, maybe it's going to be available in August, maybe it's going to be available in September. That's where you're going to put that 999 over 999. That's a signal to your program officer that you don't have it right now, but you are going to have it. On the other hand, if it's data that just isn't going to exist for this year, you're going to put 0 over 1 to indicate 0. That's for things like for the ACE grantees. If you're in a planning year, you don't have any information for GEPRA 1 about how many service options you currently are offering to kids. You're not with kids yet. So you're going to report 0 over 1. That's okay. You're in a planning year. You'll have data for it next year. But what we don't want to do is leave it blank. Okay. So if it's data you don't have now but will, 999. Data that will never exist for this year, that's the 0. All right. Just a reminder that if you want to use your project planner, it is set up exactly like G5 and allows for the copy and paste of data. I did email out for folks that it looked like you had not accessed their planner yet. I went through a couple hours ago and sent out emails to anybody who hadn't accessed it yet. That would be coming straight from Google. If you have not been able to access it and want to, please reach out to us and we can help you with that. You are welcome to send that to our email and I'll share that at the end of the webinar and also pop it in the chat box for you. All right. And then the final piece here is on our, what I'm calling our G5 quirk. So in some years it works, in some years it doesn't. In this year, it seems to not be participating. So we talked about on GEPRA measures that you're only submitting the actual ratio. So target should be blank. For some folks, it's being a little finicky and returning an error that says, why is it blank? Even though we want it to be blank. In that case, if you will just enter 1 over 1 it will let you go ahead and save your work. And the program office will know that that is just your way of leaving it as blank as G5 will allow. Okay, so that is for your GEPRA measures in the target area. If it's being persnickety and won't let you leave it blank, just pop in that 1/1. If you have any other quirks, if it's putting up errors, if it's doing something weird for you, please don't feel like you have to just kind of muddle through and try to wing it. Reach out and let us know that it's bringing up an error. If you screenshot it, that's super helpful because we can see exactly what it's doing. But reach out and let us know so that we can help you and you don't have to spin your wheel and work a lot more than necessary. All right, that is the last of the kind of little reminders here. As I'm looking, let's see. If you are not able to locate the APR package in G5, I would suggest let's set up a time to get on G5 together on Zoom so that we can figure out if it's a G5 issue or if it's just somewhere where we're not expecting it to be. We will send out the recording of this webinar and the links. That won't be until tomorrow afternoon though, by the time that all processes, but we will send out these slides and the recording. Let's see, how is the data, which is not available at May 3rd, to be submitted when it's available to complete the report? You'll be able to submit it in your next APR report. If it's something that is particularly important and you want to make sure and update, you can always update your program officer prior to that, but otherwise you'll submit it in your next APR. That's quirky. Allison, I will check on yours because yeah, you shouldn't need access. It should just magically open for you. So I don't know what that's about, but I will look after this is over and figure out why that's being problematic. All right, so I think that's all of our questions on that. Any other questions? APR reporting, anything like that? Okay. Well, then we are going to move on to a different topic that does not involve reporting or data. So we do have our project director meeting coming up week after next. So it's going to be April 20th to 22nd from 1 to 6:15 Eastern each day online. If you have registered already, you should have already gotten an email from Pathable, which is the platform that the meeting is on, to be able to actually log into the system. When you log in, you'll be able to see all the sessions. You'll be able to look at what's going on at different times of day. You can even build your own agenda of different sessions that are going on that you might be interested in. So all of that is available once you are able to log into the platform. If you have not registered just yet, I'm going to beg you to register this week. The reason for that is because as you register, we have to enter you into the Pathable system, which takes human time. And because we have a certain number of seats available for the meeting, and we do have a couple of people who've asked about extra seats. I don't want to give away your seat. So make sure and register. Now, I do have some questions for you in regards to it, and then I'll actually show you where you can log in for such. So I have a couple of questions in regard to the PD meeting and in regards to social media. So I'm going to pop up a little poll here. It will pop up in the middle of your screen. It has 3 questions. So if you'll scroll down, first, letting me know, have you registered yet? Yes, you've registered your full team. Yes, you've registered your full team, but you'd also love more seats. Yes, you're registered, but you still need to get some of the other team members on. Or no, I haven't registered yet, but I will this week. Or no, I haven't registered yet, and it's because I don't plan to attend the PD meeting. So that's our first question. If you scroll down, you can see the next one's super easy. Do you have a Twitter account? So either yes, you have a personal one, Yes, you have a professional one, or no, you do not have one. And then the third question is, what other social media platforms do you use for your organization or your project? Maybe you have a project page. Maybe it's somewhere where you share information about your services or share with families. And not that, yeah, you don't have to be in charge of it. We're just curious what social media your organization uses. You probably don't want to be in charge of it. Maybe, but probably no. All right. So I'm going to give you just a few more seconds to fast finger in those answers. And I'm going to start kind of explaining why in the world we're asking you about this. So at the PD meeting, we're going to have something called a social wall. It's just a way for programs to be able to share about what's going on. So you might be able to share your program website or something neat going on, a picture, a video, a comment. You may want to ask questions. So the social wall allows you to do that, but it is through Twitter. So if you already have a Twitter, you'd be able to use your existing Twitter. If you do not have Twitter, no, you are not required to sign up for a Twitter. But if you would like to participate in the social wall, then you would want to sign up for one. The Office of Indian Education just recently, and by recently, I mean, let me do the math, 59 minutes ago, got a Twitter. So you are literally the first group of grantees to know about such. So they now have a Twitter. You, if you're on Twitter, would be able to find them at OIE Indian Ed. That is their handle on Twitter. And we are going to actually be using a hashtag to then populate said social wall. So if you want to share something on the social wall at the project director meeting, you would put whatever it is in your Twitter, like I said, a picture, a video, a comment, a question, and then you just use the hashtag OIE 2021, and it will magically, through the joys of technology, pop up on the social wall. So we gave some ideas again of what you could share. We do have a link, and this will be in the slides so that if you are interested in setting up a Twitter that you do not already have, you are welcome to do that. And there are tips on how to do that. But just a reminder to make sure and follow your organization's social media policy. So it may not be possible, even if you want to set one up for your organization. It's often very laid out at an organizational policy, whether it's a school district or an education agency, what you can participate in and can't. From a personal level, of course, you're welcome to do whatever you like, but you may need to check your organization's social media policy in regards to the allowability of sharing program information through your personal account. So we want to make sure that you're always following your organization's social media policy. And if you have questions about any of that, feel free to ask. But just to let you know that that's going to be happening as well. And so we, of course, invite and encourage you to participate in any of that too. All right, so there were a couple questions. Is there a link to register for the PD meeting? I'm registered, but I don't see anything. So I'm going to actually go, I'm going to show you live how this will work. So let me stop that share and end our poll so I can take you over there and we will do it together. Okay. So that's loading up. And it says my screen share has failed. So we will try this again. Zoom has said no. All right, now you should be able to see it. So this is the actual site for the project director meeting. I'm going to pop over in this chat box that link. Now, if you have already registered, then you may be able to log in up where I'm logged in, or I may need to have the folks resend you your login email. So try logging in. If it won't let you log in with your email, either pop it in the chat box or email us and I'll get them to resend it. I can't resend it, but I will get them to. If you have not registered yet, this is actually the easiest way to register because you can come here and you can see there's actually a registration desk. And you'll notice it kind of lights up when I click it or when I hover. So if I click that, that will take me to the sign up. And the sign up is a SurveyMonkey. So you just pop in your name, your email address. Your organization is a scroll. So you just navigate to that, indicate what grant and cohort you're in, your role, and you're done. So you can see it is super, super easy to be able to get into the registration part. So someone is saying that the site's just gray for you. That is not good. If you're looking for I'll put the direct registration link too, so you can get into the SurveyMonkey. But as far as why the site would be gray, that's a good question. Is anybody else on the site and it's just gray? It's a new error for me. Pamela, what type of browser are you using? Let me see here. Chrome. Yeah, I'm in Chrome too. So normally that works well. Try refreshing it. And then if it's still showing up green, then or gray or any color, then I can reach out to them. Yeah. And also see if it's something on that end, because I don't know why I would do that. But yes, so now you have the link directly to the PD meeting site, as well as the SurveyMonkey if you want to go directly there. From here, this is where you'll be able to navigate to all of your things, whether you're registering. When we get social, that's that social wall. So once everybody starts populating things here, that would actually show up here. And then the part that's going to be most important for all of you, and you can also watch a little welcome from Julian, but you can go here to sessions. And that's the part that you'll be using the most. And when you come in here, you'll notice like our kickoff keynote that day is from Julian Guerrero, the director of the Office of Indian Ed. So that's already on your schedule, but then you can go down to the first session and see, okay, do I want to go to this one on academic achievement, this one on continuous improvement, project management, professional development, whatever might be of interest to you, you can click and add that to your own personal agenda if you've decided what session you want to go to. I'm going to unclick so I don't confuse myself later. But then you can also, once you've done all that, go up here to this green View My Agenda, and it will give you a nice, just little listing of the things that you've decided that you want to go to. And when it comes time for you to attend, you just click that session. And right now, because he's not actually talking, this is what it looks like. But once it's live, you'll actually watch right here. So you won't have to pop out into a separate Zoom meeting. You'll watch it kind of like you watch a YouTube video, just right in your browser. Very easy. You'll be able to chat right next to him, partake in any polls or files and things, all right in the platform. The only time that you'll be on Zoom during the PD meeting is when we get to the end of the day and we have our networking sessions. We wanted you to be able to actually talk and see each other and engage in those sessions. So for those, when you click on those, it'll look the same, but it'll on day of have a join button and it'll open in a Zoom just like we're in today. And that way you'll be able to unmute and chat and actually participate in that way in those sessions. So that's just a quick kind of bird's eye view of everything going on in that, so that you have an idea of how to navigate it the day of. Like I said, if you're having trouble logging into it, let me know. If you haven't registered, I will beg of you once again to try to take care of that this week so we can make sure everybody's able to get in. All right, and then I will pop back into our other. Okay. So we have just a little bit of time for some program updates. And what we'd like to do here is really get an idea of how is everybody providing programming right now. There's been a lot of changes over the last few months. The last time we kind of polled everybody and saw that gauge was back in November. And we've come a long way since November. So this is the last poll. This is the last time I'll ask you to humor me and provide a little info. But I'm going to pop this one up. And I say last poll, we always have our one at the end of the meeting, but it's the last one where you have to think real hard. So this one just has 3 questions, again, asking, so how are you currently offering program? And if you're an ACE grantee that's in planning, you'll notice I popped in not currently offering programming for you. And then as we think about summer, if you plan to do summer programming, how do you plan to do that? You know, are you going to be fully in person, fully online? Do you think you're going to do, oh, somebody ended my poll. Let's try this again. So do you think you're going to be fully in person, fully online, or hybrid? As well as, you know, you may not be offering any summer programming. And then the third option here, how do you plan to start the school year next year? And I know that for most of us, that's pure conjecture at this point. Of course, nothing is in stone. Probably nothing's in stone for even your summer program. But if you'll just share your best guess, we would appreciate it. It just helps as we're thinking about TA and as we're thinking about programming as we move forward. Helpful to just kind of know where we are right now. All right. And a good bit of us have had a chance to answer. I'm going to give you just a few more seconds for those last few who might be mulling over their response, and then I'll share, because I think all of you would be interested to know what your peers are doing as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. We have about 66% of us that got to vote. And let's share those results. So you should see in that same area, it looks like about half of us are not currently offering program right now. Now I'm going to give you all the caveat that that's going to be skewed by the fact that many of our grantees are ACE grantees. So they're in a planning year. So don't be thinking that a lot of the NYCP folks have just thrown their hands in the air and gone, well, we're not doing anything now. That's not the case. So it looks like of those of us who are providing programming, it's a primarily hybrid with about 13% fully online. And we have one person who's fully in person right now. So I'm not sure who that is, but I'm sure you're excited to be seeing students. And then for summer programming, again, it'll be a bit skewed because of the ACE planning year, but it looks fairly similar. It looks like we're up to 4 being in person by summer. So a few more going to fully in person by summer, as well as a few more moving to hybrid. So it does look like we're kind of tracking toward a little more human interaction. And then by start of next school year, it looks like 64% is hybrid. So about 2/3 hybrid, 1/3 fully in person. And it looks like one who's thinking at this point, they'll still be fully online as well. So hopefully you find that helpful as well. I know I find that super helpful as we think about TA over the next few months. So I appreciate you doing that with me. We do have just a couple last reminders as we wrap up. If you're an NYCP grantee who's on quarterly reporting, please remember that those are emailed to Donna Bussell, your program officer. If you didn't get it in by March 31st, don't just skip it. Reach out to her, let her know what's going on and get that in. And then your next one will be due June 30th. For those who are ACE grantees, our perennial reminder that you do have 4 things that you have to turn in prior to starting your implementation. So remember, that is your service selection process, your parent involvement and feedback process, a sample of your written agreement along with the list of folks that you have those written agreements actually signed with, and then a description of what you're going to do if there are more students who are asking to take part in your activities than you have capacity for. And those items can be emailed to Bianca. Quick reminder that we do still have the Padlet for that between talking stick brainstorming, asking of questions, and sharing. And then we have a few events that I wanted to make sure you're aware of. So our next demo talking stick is May 13th. You will have all turned in your APRs by then, so we'll all be very relaxed, of course, and we'll have a lovely talking stick of calm people who are not having to set data on fire in their offices. It'll be lovely. So everybody tune in May. We do still have our distance learning series going on. We do that every other Tuesday. The dates are a little off for April because of the PD meeting and not wanting to double dip that week. We already have enough to do. So our next distance learning session will actually be the week after the PD meeting. And we'll be talking about virtual field trips. Olani has lots of great things to share with you about virtual field trips. And then in May, we'll be coming to you with information about games and more. So creating online games and engaging students in those. We'll wrap up May with some tips and strategies and tools to be able to increase student engagement in an online environment. And June 1st, we'll be wrapping up our series for this year with our virtual share fair. So be thinking about if there are things that you could share during our virtual share fair that you've been doing with your students in virtual learning, and that would be really cool to share out with your peers. I know everybody loves seeing what others are doing in their programs. So that'll be June 1st. And then the only other event for y'all this month is your OIE office hours. So remember, that is our casual come and go type event. We open it up from 1 to 2 Eastern. You can pop in and out, ask any questions you might have. We have the TA team on, we have the OIE staff on, and you're able to get those questions answered. So you're welcome to join us for that. And with that, I'm going to take a few questions here from the chat box. And if you have any questions, this is a great time for you to pop them in as well. So looks like we have some folks, Nancy, who needs help with a password, so I can reach out with you for that separately. If you just registered, just a note that it can take up to 48 hours to get that confirmation email. I think most people are getting it in 12, but it technically Pathable says it could take up to 48 hours. So don't panic when it doesn't come immediately through. The username and password for Pathable, your username is going to be your email that you registered for. So if you're not sure on the password part, let me know and I can get Pathable to resend the email for that, because I have no way to access your password. But we can get that sent to you. All right. And I see, yeah, lots of people who are talking about things still up in the air. And I think that's where many, many of us are with that. Yeah. And so question about the Zoom link for the open office hours. Yes, I will pop that in the chat right now so that you can have that at the ready. You can even create your own calendar link if you'd like. There we go. And I'll even pop in office hours so you know what that's for. Perfect. Okay. And then, Lucia, I'll have to reach out to you with the link to your program planner because I don't have all of them right in front of me. So I'll have to follow up with you via email. And then regarding the transition to implementation, so do you need to submit a copy of all service provider agreements or just the ones for the first year? So great question on this one. This comes up a lot. You're going to submit to Bianca just a copy of the service provider agreement, the blank service provider agreement. So basically like your template. So you're going to submit that. And then the second part of that, when it's a two-parter, is just a list of everybody that you have signed provider agreements with currently. So that's going to change year to year. You'll continue updating that information because you may have different providers in year 2 than year 1, and that's fine. But as far as meeting that requirement, it's just the actual template agreement that you've chosen to use, and then that list. Yeah, and Pamela, I know you're registered, so I don't know what the deal is with your password. I'll have to check with them on that. Let's see, any others? Yeah, and Amy, I'll reach out to you with yours as well. Okay, so yeah, if you had a question about any of the registration pieces or a direct link to your planner, I will send those via email because I have to reach out to Pathable for anything regarding the site passwords because I can't see your password. It's top secret. And if it's the project planner, I want to make sure I send you your correct link. So I'll get that after. And then it looks like we had one more about in prior discussions that not all pathways have to be offered at the same time. So it'd be okay for us to add in other service providers along the way. Yes. So yeah, the service providers that you launch with, you're not tied to for eternity. Those may change year to year or even semester to semester. You know, that's part of that being responsive to your student needs. Also that part about like families and students can request services and you're determining then if those services are feasible. So definitely those things can be changing. All right. So we've run through our questions in the chat box, even though you may pop in a few more. So I want to just wrap up with our normal end of event poll. If you don't mind fast fingering in your answer here in regards to whether this was helpful. While you're doing that, I want to pop up our contact info again, just to make sure that everyone has that, both for your program officers, Bianca and Donna. So if you're sending something specific into them or sending them a question, as well as for the OIETA team. So remember, you can reach us at that oie@seiservices.com. And just a quick reminder, it is super helpful when you're sending emails, whether it be to your program officers or to us at the TA team, if you include your grantee name as well as your PR number, and that's both of them. It just makes it a lot quicker for us to be able to respond to you instead of having to look up that info. All right, well, we are right at time. So I know many of you may need to hop to the next of your mini Zoom meetings of the day. But if you don't mind, we've popped over in the chat box a feedback survey. If you've ever tried the feedback survey, I'll give you my normal sales pitch. It takes 2 to 3 minutes. Those who've done it can verify. It is super short, it is super quick, and it is super helpful to have that information as we plan the upcoming events and as we look at what's working well and what's not. So that chat box has it over there. Rashad has popped it in. You can go over to SurveyMonkey and knock that out in 2-3 minutes tops. All right. And then we will see all of you next time. If nothing else, we will see you most likely at the project director meeting week after next. We thank you for joining us today. I hope everything was helpful and have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye, everybody.